Welcome to the Point of Disorder Short. We are very excited today to have the very new Executive Director of Voters Not Politicians, famous for their incredible ballot initiatives and the way that they've literally bloody saved Michigan over the last 10 years, Christy McGillivray. And Christy is here with us today to talk about a brand new ballot petition that's about to hit the streets. Hi, Christy.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Fantastic, and congratulations on your new role. You are heading up an incredible organisation, I have to say that.
Yes, I'm very well aware, and keep heaping the praise on Voters Not Politicians. I'm not embarrassed by it because I can take no credit for it because I was not the executive director at the time. Normally I get embarrassed by accolades, but they're not directly coming from me. It was all the folks that came before me. So it's a big responsibility, and I'm taking it very seriously.
It is a huge responsibility. We're here today to talk about a brand new ballot petition that Voters Not Politicians is part of. It's one of the leaders, and it's a ballot proposal called Michigan for Money Out of Politics. Can you explain what the ballot proposal is and what it will do for Michigan?
Sure. So what it is it's a run at tackling the pay-to-play corruption schemes that are legal in too many places. Right now, Michigan is one of them. What it would do is it would require any regulated utilities it would severely restrict all the different ways that they currently can give money to elected officials. And it would do the same for any corporations that have a contract with the state of Michigan valued at $250,000 or more. And it would also close a dark money loophole that we have here in the state called the issue ad loophole, which allows for basically unreported, undisclosed, massive amounts of spending as long as it's on the IE side. So it's a special category of money. So it would close that and it would require the disclosure. And the outcome would be that we would have significantly less secret money coming from corporations and other big regulated monopolies like our electric and gas utilities. And it would really restrict the ways that they've been able to functionally take over our state government.
So I think most people can agree with that. In trainings that we have around this particular ballot petition, it's always introduced as how many people have lost power in the last 6 months and how many people are paying too much for their power. So it feels like everyone can get behind that.
Absolutely. The other quick question that we've been running in trainings is how many people have fought with an insurance company over the phone? So it's a whole range of issues that corporate entities weigh in on that benefit their bottom line at the expense of regular Michiganders. And that's part of the reason why I think there's so much overwhelming public support, because without tackling this, we're going to continue seeing our state government acting in the best interests of shareholders' bottom lines instead of the constituents they're supposed to represent, which is not okay.
So can you just explain for those that don't, because I think we're all aware of the issues with regards to our power and insurers and all that sort of stuff, but can you just explain for a minute why it is the money in politics that are one of the sort of seed reasons for these types of things happening?
I will use two recent examples, and they're going to be environmental because up until very recently, I was working in environmental policy. So that's I can talk off the cuff most easily about that. The first one I would mention is community solar. So we functionally have a prohibition on community solar, which means it's not possible for entities that are smaller, like, for example, a neighborhood association, to own and supply electricity to a certain number of residents that buy into the system. If you are in a service area outside of one of the regulated utilities, you can do that. So, for example, there's a fantastic community solar project up in Lance, Michigan, and, deep red part of the state, low-income area. It is wildly popular because people like paying less for electricity, right? So that policy change has had bipartisan support for years, because Republicans like it too. And it never goes anywhere because regardless of the party in power, the utilities don't like it. And over and over and over again, we've seen that, these bipartisan policy initiatives that voters and elected officials on both sides of the aisle support don't move. And most recently, there was an elected official, I believe he was from the Midland area, but don't quote me on that. His name was Gary Glenn. He was a Republican. He was one of the Republican co-sponsors of community solar. And because of that, and DTE was very open about it, DTE took him out in a primary. And that telegraphed a really intense message. And anyone in Lansing who is being honest with you will tell you that if DTE disapproves of a bill, it won't move. The other thing, really quick example, when DTE does approve of a bill that's bad, it does move. And we saw that with the tax breaks for data centers, which have big energy implications. It's going to raise everyone's utility bills and provide no good. And again, there was bipartisan opposition, strong opposition, but DTE wanted it to happen.
So you have just explained something to me that no one has been able to do. I was very confused about, we spoke before the pod. You've lived in Melbourne, where I come from, and solar is everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like 70% of homes are on solar. And I've always been like, what is it? No, it can't be that it's cloudy a lot here. There has to be another reason why solar isn't everywhere. You've just explained it to me, and I had no idea. So thank you for that.
There's one more. We got rid of net metering, which is the policy wonk word for getting an actual return on your solar investment by selling your electricity to the grid. So as a ratepayer, if you put solar on your house, the utility doesn't actually have to pay you a fair market rate for the amount of electricity that you send back to the grid. They got rid of that because they didn't like it. So there's a couple different reasons why you see solar in so many different places, but not here. Sorry, had to throw in that one.
We've taken a tangent, but I think it's important knowledge and information for people to actually have.
Right.
So part of this is obviously everyone knows about Citizens United, and I know this is kind of like a step towards amending that slightly for Michigan, but I know a lot of people have given feedback about the fact that is obviously a federal Citizens United, and we can't do anything about that at this particular point. But this is just a small step in terms of Michigan being able to fix that. Is that right?
Correct. And I think the other really important thing to note is that this legal structure has held up to scrutiny while being fought in court using the Citizens United ruling. So these legal structures prohibiting the pay-to-play aspect of, functionally the legalized corruption of campaign finance, this is held up in 15 other states. So we know this works. We know it's going to hold up to Citizens United. Is it going to close every single loophole and fix everything? No. Is it a really good way to restrict most of the really corrupting money coming into Lansing? Yes. And quite frankly, with the kind of political breakdown that we're seeing, I think we need to go after really popular things like tackling corruption. This is bipartisan. Everyone loves it. We have to bring people together, and this is exactly the kind of good government, nonpartisan issue that brings people together.
I love that you say that, and I'm going to jump. I had a couple of questions and I'll return to, but I'm going to mention that I sat at the State of Board canvases the other week when this particular ballot petition was approved.
I was watching.
Oh, well, it was a great day. I was like, after sitting through so many others this year that weren't quite as bipartisan, let's just say, I was really shocked about the fact that there was far less opposition to this particular ballot petition. So there were no Koch brothers sending people from out of state, no Heritage Foundation, no DeVos, people coming in. Are we at the calm before the storm, or is it real that, these groups, where are we at with regards to that?
The answer to that question is both. When you talk to voters, this is wildly popular and bipartisan. I mean, the polling is through the roof. It's in the high 70s. And then when these same focus groups get the opposition's messaging, the pro-opposition messaging, the support for our measure goes up. Nobody's buying the money equals free speech thing anymore. It's BS, and everyone knows it. When it comes to elected officials, the story is different. We're facing bipartisan opposition there. So we will, I think it is the calm before the storm, I think, and bring it. This is popular with voters. Let's do it.
Look, I mean, I know that Voters Not Politicians has been trying to move this through the legislature for some time now. Is that correct?
Yes, we introduced it as a package of bills both in 2004 and in the new 2025 session. In the 2025 session, we got Republicans to sign on, which is really exciting. And we did that we didn't think it was going to move through the legislature. The point is that we wanted to prove it wasn't going to move through the legislature because that paper trail is really important. So we've introduced it twice now. And, I say it was elected officials that introduced it. And to be clear, I was not the executive director at the time. So I just want to be clear that I can't take credit for that. But whatever. The point is that we wanted to have a concrete paper trail showing that really popular bipartisan legislation that would tackle this isn't going to move. Much like a lot of the really important financial disclosure stuff also didn't move in 2024. The BRIGHT Act.
Yes.
We're missing it.
We have we have some
bipartisan problem.
Yeah, it is.
We need nonpartisan solutions.
So I think this is really interesting from the point of view that when I was sitting at the Board of Canvassers last week, I've got a couple of examples of how bipartisan this is. State Representative Jim DeSanna, who we know he's literally sitting there at the State Board of Canvassers. Yeah. He gets up, he gives evidence whilst holding his phone that has a "Don't Tread on Me" sticker on it.
I know.
So this is.
I know. Well, I mean, and if you take that logo and slogan seriously. Yeah, you should be pissed off that corporations that are not helping you are buying your legislators. Agree. That sucks.
My other example of that is a few years ago, Gina and I were interviewing the corporal of a Michigan militia standing there holding his AR-15.
Yikes.
And he was raving about money in politics and how bad it was. The night before, we'd been to a Bernie Sanders rally who'd also been raving about one of the biggest problems in America in terms of not being able to have nice things was money in politics.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason Bernie Sanders won the 2016 primary in Michigan. And I just, it'd be great if everyone remembered that because it was a come-from-behind win and everyone was shocked except for anyone who's been talking to voters in Michigan recently. Not that shocking to anyone who's been talking to voters.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a bipartisan issue. So can you just explain to us who exactly will be impacted by the law? Because there was some discussion about this freedom of speech, there has been pushback around that. Can you just explain that and why, the man that works for DTE
Sure.
And standing on the roads, holding a stop-go sign is not going to be impacted by this?
Well, he's not included in the list of people that are prohibited. So that's the first one. So it is going to affect corporate entities within a certain amount of time, and I don't remember the exact number of days, so don't quote me on that, both before and after a contract bid, and then if they get the contract and it's worth $250,000 or more. That's the part that holds up to Citizens United because of the direct conflict of interest. They're lobbying a state that is giving them contracts worth hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, right? So it would also apply to utilities because utilities are guaranteed a rate of return according to law, which means they are guaranteed a certain percentage of profit. And the entire structure within which they are guaranteed that profit is regulated by the state. Legislators write the laws that are then implemented and enforced by the Michigan Public Service Commission, where the Attorney General intervenes, allegedly on behalf of Michiganders. Attorney General Nessel does intervene on behalf of Michiganders, but it's entirely possible the next Attorney General won't, right? And then the governor appoints the public service commissioners. So all those different elected officials have a direct say in exactly how and how much utilities can get out of ratepayers through the Public Service Commission. And they should not be bought off by the executives and utilities that they are currently regulating. That shouldn't be allowed.
That is the best explanation I've found that I've received. So thank you very much for that. 2022 was a big year for ballot proposals. Voters Not Politicians was involved. We had Promote the Vote back then as well. And there was a lot of talk at the time. Obviously, that was a big year for Democrats in terms of, Democrats were able to obviously win back the governorship, the Attorney General, the Secretary of State, and the Senate, and the State Senate and the State House.
Big year.
And I think it would be very hard to argue that a lot of that wasn't because there were so many great ballot initiatives that were actually on the ballot that we collect signatures for and were on the ballot for people to go out and vote for in 2022. Do you think that something similar is going to happen this year based on this type of a ballot petition being on the ballot, if it, in fact, it makes it there?
It's our job to make it so. So I don't think that we can take anything for granted. I think that the AI slop that is inundating most of the platforms that people are getting their information on is a factor that we did not have to deal with in the same way in 2022. So I think that makes it harder to say that there's going to be a direct cause and effect relationship that we can just count on, right? I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can take it for granted. I think the other factor is that in 2022, we didn't have a anti-democratic federal government that was hell-bent on interfering with the infrastructure and execution of our elections. Those are two wildly different factors that are going to impact whatever 2026 looks like. And I think that we are in the situation that we're in because our democracy gridlocked. And you see these kind of authoritarian pushes when democracy stops delivering for people. That's when this happens. It's completely predictable. It's a cycle. It is the part of the cycle that we're in. We have to have our democracy deliver for people. We absolutely have to. That is how we save democracy, by making government actually help people in their real lives in a material way. And if we don't do that, we are going to lose our democracy. We will. And to do that, we have to get money out of politics. We have to, because the reason elected officials are answering to donors instead of voters is because of this level of corruption. So this is in service of our democracy. We have to tackle corruption. It's how we give people faith in government again. We have to. And I do have high hopes that that's going to motivate people. We just have to break through the noise and the panic and everything else going on.
And it seems to me that this is legislated corruption that we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
So this is by design.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually the history of campaign finance in Michigan is, functionally a history of the Engler administration. Craig Mauger did this amazing interview with and I'm forgetting his name, which is frustrating me. I should have found the article. Functionally, the architect of Engler's campaign finance reforms, and he's the one who set up basically the 501c4 loophole. That is really the most corrosive way that money enters the system. And for anyone who doesn't know, a 501c4 is a nonprofit. Voters Not Politicians is a 501c4, for example. However, when it comes to political giving in 501c4s, an elected official can open up a 501c4 and not report the donors putting money into it. And when legislators get to Lansing, they are instructed on how to set up 501c4s in order to take all the money that they don't want their constituents to know about. So that's what we have to go after.
It all makes sense to me now. It all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Can you let us know who else is in this coalition? Because I know it's more Voters Not Politicians is a big part of it, but there are other organisations that are working on this as well.
There is Detroit Action, Moses, Clean Water Action, Michigan United, the Hip Hop Caucus. I'm probably forgetting some really important key members. Right? No, I did Michigan United. I encourage people to go to mopupmichigan.org and see the list. And we're looking for people to join.
And I feel like from all of this, what I take away is that this is something that's a broad coalition.
Oh, very.
So this is something, as we talked about, the fact that this is a nonpartisan issue. This is an issue that matters to most Michiganders. We can all agree that corruption in politics is a bad thing, and it's leading to bad outcomes for us as people that live, people that live in Michigan. So I'm excited that Distill Social is also part of the coalition from the point of view that we're out there collecting signatures.
Yes, I should have said that. I should have mentioned that.
That's all right. We've got volunteers all over the state that are out there collecting signatures.
And leading in parts of the state. I was up in Traverse City doing a town hall, and I, had the privilege of telling Voters Not Politicians members to track down the Distill Social people.
I love that. I love that. Now, can you let people know how they can get involved? Because I think it's really important that we have a call to action here.
Yes,
so.
mopupmichigan.org, and you can sign up to volunteer there. If you go to Voters Not Politicians and check our calendar of events, you can see all of the Mop Up Michigan events too. So, you can check out and sign up there as well. And that's the best way to do it.
Fantastic. You can also check out Distill Social's website. We have a sign up there where people can volunteer, and we will in the coming weeks have a list of places that you can go and sign the ballot petition as
absolutely.
well.
And we need 358,000 and then some change of validated signatures, which means we need at least 500,000, maybe 600,000 just to be safe. And we are not getting nearly enough money yet. The second we have that flood of signatures in, I know it's going to be amazing. And we need to demonstrate that volunteer power. So I am belaboring the point. Sign up. If you're pissed about corruption, if you want to see government deliver, if you're furious about what's happening in Washington, D.C., take a run at corruption with us. Sign up. We need thousands of people.
I just want to lift up what you just said there. There is not enough money behind all of these campaigns at this point. So what we need to do is basically make sure that we use our voices and our power to be able to prove to those with the money that this will actually happen and make a difference.
And I think what I want to remind people too, I've been working in and out of politics in Michigan for 20 years now. I say out of because I was in Melbourne for a while. But it wasn't always like this. It really wasn't. There has been a massive sea change, and it is because of Citizens United. It did not used to be this bad. Government can deliver for people, and we do not have to be afraid of picking fights with big corporations. The best stories in our history are of everyday people with no money picking big fights with corporations and winning. And there's this perception that we can't pick big fights right now because the stakes of the consequences are going to be so high that we have to like stay in our lane and keep our head down and blah, 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 blah. I completely disagree. Because the stakes are so high, we have to pick big fights in order to excite people and draw them in and make them excited and give them hope. We can't nibble around the edges of what's happening. We have to run at it headlong. And tackling corruption and talking with everyday Michiganders about the corruption in our state is a very easy way for them to start thinking about the corruption that's happening in Washington, D.C.
I love that. Thank you so much, Christy. It's a pleasure to spend some time with you. And we will put the website and a link to sign up in the bio for this episode.
Amazing.
Don't forget to follow us, Distill Social at Point of Disorder, and we will see you next week. Thank you.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Point of Disorder. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to everyone who listened today. And if you like us, give us a like, a subscribe, or a review on any place you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Distill Social and at The Guerrilla Politic. This is the Point of Disorder podcast, signing off. Stay sharp, stay progressive, and above all, stay tuned.